Hey, welcome back everybody. I'm in the Ford Taurus right now, and we're having a little bit of a weird issue. It seems to be harder to start. It does start, but sometimes when you crank it, it won't start. Also, the temperature gauge and the fuel gauge will actually be shaking, like the gauges themselves, the needles will shake a little bit after it does start. I think what it's doing is it's resetting itself or going through its check. But for what reason, I'm not sure. I believe this is going to be a battery issue. From all the research I've done, these cars are known for this with a weaker battery. In other words, the battery has enough electricity to start the car, but not enough to maintain the gauges and everything else. So usually it's an amp issue with the battery. It's got enough electricity to turn the motor over, but it doesn't have enough power to run everything at once that needs to be run. Let me see if I can get this to do this so I can show you what I'm talking about with the gauges, and you guys can get an idea of what's going on. Everything looks good right now, and the battery's dead. Oh, that's funny. The battery shit the bed completely. So now that goes to show you that it is a battery issue. Yeah, that's funny because it was just turning over the other day and stuff like that. Now, the reason I suspected this battery was it's original to this car. It's actually the same battery when I bought this car. It's still in here. I mean, I bought this car. We bought this car, what, 7 years ago, 8 years ago? It's still the same battery that was in it when I bought it. I can't believe it's lasted as long as it did. I'm going to take off the negative first and then take off your positive. And then there should be one small screw right there, and that battery should come out. The alternator is charging. I know that because I tested it with full load, headlights, heater, radio, everything on, wipers. It's putting out about 14 steady, more or less. So I know the alternator's fine. That's an actual 8mm. Get that bracket out, loosen that right up, and get that piece right out. And that's just a plastic piece or block that comes right out of there. All right, so now we take off the negative terminal. So loosen that up. If you're probably wondering what all this stuff is around here, it's silicone. Oh, dielectric grease is what I should say. That's just to prevent corrosion on the battery, no big deal. I'll come over here, take this cover off. Same thing. We can take off the positive. All right, that's all. Take these wires, put them aside. This one just happens to have some kind of a protective cover on this. You might have that, you might not. It's not a big deal. It looks like the date was 1/11 on this battery. Exactly 7 years old. All right, battery's in. I do like to use these battery terminal protectors. Been using them for years. They do help with the corrosion on the battery terminals. You just put them right on the terminal itself. Has some kind of protective oil on there. Keeps them from corroding. Positive cable goes on first. Terminal's tight. Close that cap. And your negative goes on next. And that's it. Let's go start her up and see if she runs. All right, here goes nothing. Beautiful. No more fluctuating on the gauges like that. They would actually go to empty, the fuel gauge, and it would be fluctuating. Same thing with the temperature gauge. It would stay on cold, and it would fluctuate like that. I didn't notice it, but some people are saying that this driver's information window would also act up. Wow, it starts right up too. It would take a little bit longer to crank when I had the old battery in there, till it should, you know, completely shit the bed today. But I ended up getting the EverStop Max at Walmart. Anyway, that's just me. It's up to you. Whatever you put in, obviously it's going to be better than your dead battery. What I'm going to do now, because this was sitting on the shelf at Walmart, I'm going to go ahead and put a charger on it. All right, battery charger's hooked up and it's charging. So I got an automatic, let it charge by itself. Once it's charged, the green light will come on. Will let me know it's charged. Shouldn't take long, about an hour or so. Just to top it off, make sure it's good to go. And this car's all set. So that's it. Ford Taurus. This is a 2006. I believe numerous years has the same issue. Hard to start. Sometimes you got to crank it once, twice for a few seconds and it starts. Gauges act up. Fuel gauge, coolant temp gauge. Sometimes I'm hearing that the RPM gauge might be acting up too. And the data information center will act up. So you got those issues, get your battery and your charging system tested. Chances are it's going to be the battery that's bad. If you need somebody to test it, take it to like AutoZone or any parts department. They should have a battery tester where they can test your battery. The thing is with that, it might test good, but the battery might still be bad. I don't know how else to say it. It might test good on the amp test, but the battery could be right on that cusp of failing. I guess what I'm saying is I've had batteries test okay, but they were bad. They had a bad cell, or one of the plates were bad inside the battery. Make sure you check your charging system. Make sure that's okay. Because if your alternator ain't putting out the right voltage, obviously the battery's not going to be maintained by the charging system or the alternator. Never seen a car actually act up like this because of a low battery, but I guess with these computers and all this stuff, they don't have the right voltage or the right electricity or amps or whatever you want to call it. Things start to act a little funny. So not only does the battery have to start the car, but now it also has to power all the computer systems and all that stuff at the same time. So kind of miss the old days, you know what I'm saying, when all the battery does was turn the car over. All right, I hope this was helpful. I researched and researched. I couldn't find a whole lot of stuff on this. A lot of people asked the same question, but not a lot of people with the correct answer. So I'll catch you all later. God bless everybody, and I wish you all the best. Bye-bye.